Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Astara and I'm an angelic communicator and clairvoyant. I also do a lot of work with twin flames and people on the twin flame journey. And the question I want to address today in this video is, has my twin flame put a spell on me? Now, this is something that really comes up on readings, and also I have definitely been through that pathway myself. So I want to talk to you if you're on the twin flame journey, and particularly let's do the divine feminines first and then the sacred masculines. So you on the twin flame journey, you're going to have things going on. You're going to feel like, wow, I've never felt this way before. You're going to have repetitive thinking. You're going to be seeing all sorts of synchronicities and signs from the universe. And your mind will be 24/7 thinking about your twin, and it will feel almost like someone's taking you over. You may have never ever had obsessive thinking before, and or limerence or anything like this, and you might wonder what is going on here. You may not recognize yourself. In other words, what does having a love spell actually feel like if it's placed on you, and how can it sometimes feel like a twin flame experience? Now, I went down this rabbit hole because I have had spells put on me before by people. So let's start there and let's say what this feels like. Now, luckily for me, I come in with quite a high state of awareness, and so I clean my energy field regularly. So if I know that someone has tried to put a spell on me, I feel it. So, and I'm also aware of when somebody is trying to use their energy manipulatively in a powerful kind of energetic dynamic, then I also feel that. I'm aware of it. So there's not a lot that can get past me in that way anymore. Maybe it did in the past, but not anymore. So, how can it sometimes feel like you're having a twin flame experience when actually you have a spell on you? So, let's acknowledge something important here. The twin flame journey is intense, it's mysterious, and it's also full of powerful energy dynamics. We're still trying to understand a lot of what this is about. We're birthing this into the new earth paradigm through ourselves, through embodiment. And if anybody tells you that they know everything about the twin flame journey, please do not believe them, because this is a process that we're going through of all trying to understand what this actually means for all of us. There are times when, yes, a twin has indeed placed a spell on another twin. And I have actually seen this, and I've also seen that sometimes it comes from past lives. And so you're experiencing a very strong attraction to your twin in this life, but actually you're feeling and experiencing a fragment from a past life. I've even asked, what is this about? Is this healthy? And sometimes I've been shown that it has been healthy, and sometimes I've been shown that it has not been healthy. And this is what I mean, like when we begin working with the spiritual realm, there are many different possibilities that we have to understand and come into alignment with. If your twin has placed a healthy spell on you in another life, they might have felt the separation from you and then tried to call you back. And maybe that was the only way that they could do that. And in this life, you might feel that as a connection when you come into contact with them. It might be activated. So you will feel some sort of compulsion towards them, and it won't make any sense. There are also unhealthy spells where it would be in your interest to disconnect from them. Because these unhealthy spells, if they are found, are often a kind of compulsion coming from maybe a shadow aspect of your twin. And I just want to say here, it can be very, very common for the twin flame journey, for when you're in a separation phase, for the matrix twin, often the masculine twin, to deny the feminine twin, to pretend that there's nothing to do with them, that they are basically, they don't have anything to do with this person, they're not important to them. What are some of the text messages I've heard from twins? And I mean, some of them are ridiculous. Some of them are like, just stay away from me, you're nothing to do with me. Um, some of the things I've been told by clients. I mean, if they weren't hurtful, we'd be on the floor laughing. We'd be splitting our sides with laughter because Because what they essentially are saying to themselves is, you're nothing to do with me, which is madness. And it just shows how much distortion there is. But because there's so much gaslighting in this process, and you have to be respectful of everyone's process here, that it can really be very hurtful for the divine feminine, because she's probably already going through a process of wondering, is that my twin or not? And trying to have self acceptance around the process. And then her twin comes in and says, you know, lady, you're nothing to do with me. Step away. I do not want anything to do with you. I mean, one of the text messages was, if I see you around, I say hi, but that's all this is. You know, like they can be completely distorted and misunderstanding what the point of all of this is. There is a process to this. It's because they're setting a boundary in the 3D, often because they have no idea what they're stepping into. And and so this can be also identified. If this is going on, yet you feel your twin pulling on your energy and yet pushing you away. So they're pulling on your energy in the 5D, maybe even visiting you in dreams, coming into your space, sitting in your energy field. Sometimes I'd be doing readings for people, they'd be coming in there, coming in wherever they like, doing whatever they liked. And you're feeling that compulsion, often to contact them, to message them. And then you do message them, and then they go, why are you messaging me? Or they block you, or they don't respond, or they all that kind of stuff. Then it could be that they have a compulsion spell going on. And the reason I say this is because I had an experience through this journey where I was given the number of a very lovely lady in America who breaks spells, and I do spell breaking too. So I was quite happy for her to have my number, and I gave her a list of people. Some of them on there that I wondered if there were spells, because I was looking at why my business wasn't flowing and why things weren't flowing. And usually I would just deal with this on the angelic realm, but actually I was being shown there are physical things we need to do sometimes. So I just trusted this individual with this process. And I wrote, including my twin's name, on a very long list, maybe 25 people of people I'd known, past, present, future. And I just said, is there anyone on this list that is coming up as doing any kind of spell work on me or activities on me? And un, un you know, unbelievably, there were two people came up on the list, and one of them was more believable. I could understand why they would do that, but the other one was my twin. And I'm going to say here, it took me a long time to understand why that could possibly be going on. And I just asked for it to be disconnected. And as soon as it was disconnected, I felt much better. I didn't have the repetitive thinking. I didn't feel like I needed to contact them. I could just focus on my life. The soul connection was still there, the soul bond. So it wasn't a complete spell. It was something that was trying to get me to draw towards them. And so whether they had consciously done that spell or not, or whether it was this life or not, I still do not know, but I know that I felt a lot better. It did not break the connection with your twin, interestingly, but it did change a distortion that was being created through manipulation. So this can be something that happens with twins, whether it's in this lifetime or another, and it might be conscious or unconscious. I just want to say that as an energetic imprint, and to be aware of it, to allow yourself to awaken to the possibility, because your twin is not perfect. And often spell work is a way of using manipulation and control to get what you want rather than standing in your own power. Okay, so there are other times when you could feel spellbound as well, that arise from repetitive thinking, deep longing, and an energetic resonance that you feel towards your twin. And you might feel like you have been put under a spell, but what I'm going to say here is you may not have been. This is actually a complex interplay of energy, of intention and soul connection, where your mind and your heart are experiencing telepathic communication, energetic loops, empathic communication through your feelings. And it's like you're a powerful magnet to one another, and that invisible thread is holding you kind of together. And so these loops can cause sensations to what many people would say is a love spell. And so, because I've felt both now, and I've also had love spells taken off me from other people, which feel kind of the same. You just keep thinking of that person, and there's a sort of fixation or obsessional thinking or longing. And I kind of know that's not me. And if they're coming into your dream state, I get them removed immediately. So, I do not like anything that confuses me or makes me feel stuck or creates, it reduces my clarity. So I am very clear that all spells can be broken. And if people are doing spell work on each other, I would say that please think carefully about what you're doing because it all has a karmic consequence. And those karmic consequences, particularly between twins, if you're doing any sort of ritual where you're trying to bring your twin to you, or, I just want to say here, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Do not do it. This is all about divine timing. It's about purifying and clarifying your own spiritual soul essence, and that cannot be forced. You cannot force someone else to come towards you. So I want here now to talk about the sacred masculine because often the sacred masculine, when I'm helping on twin flame readings, and the divine feminine is like, how long will he take? When will he come in? And I totally understand that it's not easy during the separation phase. That when I've looked at the sacred masculine, often they feel that they don't understand why they're thinking about this woman so much, why they're thinking about their twin so much. They do not understand why it's such a powerful effect on them and an influence. And often it's asking them to do things that they didn't plan that they were going to do. Like maybe they had a whole plan of how they were going to have their single life, they were going to be like relaxed and living in a particular way, or maybe they're doing polyamory, maybe they're married to someone, like maybe it fits what their matrix idea of how things are going to be. And actually, when they meet their twin and they begin to be activated, they find themselves drawn inexplicably to this person who may not even be their type. And I've talked about this on other videos. Your twin may not even be your type, whatever that is. So it can often like create a lot of confusion in the head because what's happening is they're being shown that they're activating into their true self where they've been living from a false self. That's basically what's going on. They're awakening from the matrix. So the masculine, sacred masculine might even go through a process of thinking that woman has set a spell on me. Now that goes deep into the subconscious and psyche of our world, which makes women like, somehow demonic, which we're not. And it can really freak some men out. So they kind of run with that knowing that that person has a hugely strong effect on me and I'm scared and I don't know what's going on, so I will try and retain control. So that feeling of feeling spellbound also comes off of the back of sometimes actually having spells done on them. And you would not believe the amount of spells I've seen on sacred masculines, particularly by their karmic exes, particularly by people in their family or people who want to control them. Often the sacred masculine has a lot of power in the matrix, in the physical world. They often hold a lot of power in the same way that their twin holds a lot of power in the 5D, in the spiritual world. And so there can be a huge amount of restriction placed on them by others, and often they will have no knowledge of it until they begin to wake up. Obviously, their twin might see it and experience and be trying to help them release from it, but sometimes the suspicious feeling that they have that something's not quite right, they might then try and place it on their twin. And when this happens, the twin feels it. I just want to say that it's a very unpleasant feeling because it's like yourself turned against yourself, which we never want. That's not a good process. So that can be like a misplaced kind of judgment on your feminine twin who, and I have worked with a lot of these feminine twins. They are so beautiful, they're so not wanting to harm anyone. They've got this really high vibration, like they're not trying to trap their twin, they're really just trying to live their soul mission, and in comparison to the amount of ick, I don't even know what else to say here, that I've seen coming at the sacred masculine from other situations, from people they work with, from their own family members, from their wives, their current, their exes, when I see the amount of stuff that's on them, it just seems unbelievable that they would then project that deep distrust upon their twin. But that's the level of distortion that we're all dealing with. So just remember here that if there is spell work, it can be removed. And I encourage you to do so. And I would say, like, are the feminines put spells on the masculine? No. No, not as far as I'm aware. And if they were, I would just want to say this is not good. This is not going to bring in union. This is not going to work for you. But as the feminine is the more spiritually awakened twin, she will know that. Okay, and in the same way for the masculines, if you are putting a spell on your twin, thinking she will come to you like a compulsion spell, maybe you're used to sending out an energetic vibe and people coming and flocking to you and stroking your ego. Maybe you're used to that. I don't know, but if you're doing that kind of behavior and it's manipulative, your twin will not respond. She might respond like the first or second time, but when she works it out, she's not going to respond anymore because she's not stupid. Okay. And if you want that kind of level of, romance in your life or connection with someone, then that's probably why you've been with the people you've been with. Okay. Just putting it out there as a truth. So just know that the twin flame journey is never about control and manipulation. And it allows you to mutually grow with one another through awakening, through evolution of love on a deep level. And it's a soul awakening within you. And you can't achieve a soul awakening through spell work. You just can't do it. So if you're wondering whether you've had a spell cast on you, or even if you're kept under control of somebody else, then just know that you can release that from your being, and that if you're having troubles with that, let me know and I can put you in touch with people who can help with that. Because really, the twin flame is about doing your self inner work and then coming into union with your twin in a very healthy way. So all of these manipulations and distortions need to dissolve before that happens. So lots of love to you. If you want to work with me, go to my Instagram or Linktree and see what I'm offering.